the National Center in hosting these webinars, these member meetings. So today we have a great topic, cybersecurity career awareness and exploration, and a toolkit and framework for introducing students to cyber careers. And so our guest speakers would be John Sands, Dr. John Sands, and Dr. Christine Christensen. They are from Moraine Valley Community College. John is the department chair and professor of information technology at Moraine Valley Community College, and he serves as the principal investigator and executive director for the Center for Systems and Security Information Assurance, and also the NSF-ATE National Support Center. He holds a Ph.D. from Colorado State University. He's also a co-PI for NCyTE. And Christine, Dr. Christine Christensen is a program director in the National Community College Fellowship Program at NCyTE, and a professor of computer information system and the director of the faculty development at Moraine Valley Community College. And so I'm going to turn this over to Christine and John and let them go on. We'll monitor the chat for you all if there's any questions, but it's up to you whether you want to take questions as you go or whether you want to.
Yeah, we can take them as we go. Raise your hand. We'll take them as we go. I think I'll kick it off and introduce Christine. So Christine is really the person that runs this, and she's created the toolkit and a bunch of other things. So I just thought I'd do just a quick intro, and then Christine's going to basically go through the presentation. But what I just want you to understand is that we've done a really good job as a national center, actually all the national centers over the last couple of years, creating programs to build that national pipeline. But the thing we need to keep in mind is that we're not the only show in town. There's shortages in every career area you can think of, in nursing and truck driving and so on. So when we talk about promoting the cybersecurity career, it's absolutely critical that we that we become competitive with our academic advisors and career counselors in promoting cybersecurity careers. So Christine's going to talk about a toolkit that we've created, and then we've been going around the country actually doing workshops, and we're open if you're interested after hearing this of us doing a workshop. We try to get 15 to 20 participants, but that can be high school career counselors or academic advisors or community college. So we take both. I just did one 2 weeks ago at Harper Community College. We had like 35 participants. We even had the president of the institution show up for it. Okay. And what we're trying to do basically is talk about what is cybersecurity, because there's a lot of misperceptions of what these careers are all about. And Christine will get into this in greater depth. One of the most important things I think we talk about is why would a student want to select this career field? What are the benefits? What are the reasons why a student might be interested in pursuing a career in cybersecurity? And then this is a very complicated career field. When we start to talk about things like academic credentials, what are those academic credentials? And we'll talk about the different levels and so on. But one of the things that Michelle's been able to do as a national center and the leadership team of NCyTE is to have more and more organizations recognize community college certificates and two-year degree programs. And that's part of promoting this whole idea of what are the different types of academic credentials. And the part that's really complicated about this is cybersecurity can be taught in many different areas, right? So what are the majors? Is it a business program? Is it an IT program? Is it computer science? It can actually be housed in many different areas in many different institutions. So that makes this even more complicated, right? And then you really want to get into complexity. We get into the industry certifications and that whole thing, and how many different certifications and why are there so many different certifications and stuff like that. And then the really cool stuff, like the federal government has invested heavily into this field. So there's all kinds of scholarship opportunities, Christine will talk about, that we cover in our session. We talk about career pathways and articulation agreements and stuff like that, extracurricular activities. And then one of the things that we try to do is help students create a personal academic plan when they go through this program. So that's sort of an overview of what we do. And when we meet with career counselors, we give them the toolkit and we address every one of these things I just talked about. And, you know, we've become pretty experienced at this. Christine's run workshops in Illinois. We've had 3-4 workshops in Illinois. We've done them in Hawaii. We've done them last summer. We did 5 of them in California. We've done them in Florida, Puerto Rico, Texas, and I'm not going to go through all of it, but Colorado, Pennsylvania, Ohio. So we've done them all over the country. And we would love to work with you. There's no cost. This is sort of a service and a product that was created under NCyTE. And Christine's going to basically go into great detail into what this looks like, and then, you know, what these workshops are all about and so on. So Christine's done a really great job of running these across the country and promoting them. And it's sort of her background. I mean, she runs our faculty development center at Moraine Valley. So at this point, I'll hand it off to Christine, and she'll go through the presentation with you.
Thank you, John. And I'm very fortunate to be able to work with John and learn from him big time. So I'm very excited to share with you our toolkit, and John has been instrumental in this as well. So the toolkit came out of a need expressed by educators during some of our regional hub collaborations with State Department of Education. There was some of the faculty told us that students weren't transferring in the classes because they weren't familiar with what cybersecurity is. So the workbook that we're going to present to you is really a living document, and is because it continually is updated based on changes in the ecosystem as well as feedback from its users. So we really would encourage you to let us know if you see anything that we're missing. We're constantly revising this and to ensure that it meets the needs of our stakeholders. And what we're going to do now is really something we try to do. This is going to be an abbreviated counselor advisor workshop, but it's normally a 4-hour. So we get hands-on activities with the counselors and advisors. So as John mentioned earlier, please reach out to us and let us know if you would like to have us conduct a workshop for you. We can even do it remotely as well. So if hopefully we'd love to meet people. That's one way we are able to understand the needs out there in the landscape and ecosystem, but we know that sometimes that's not possible, especially in remote areas. So we always like to start off with this video. It's a favorite of John's, and it discusses the importance of cybersecurity. So I'm going to play it. Let me know if you can hear it. Like, it says thumbs up. I think it should be able to do okay, but.
Uh-oh. Sound's not working.
That's what I was afraid of. Let me see. I don't have that to
Might have to reshare and click that button at the bottom.
Oh, and you know what? The thing is that I don't see that button at the bottom. I wonder if it's because I'm not a co-host. Mike, is there a possibility you could change? Oh, you know what? Let me do one thing. Oh, here it goes. Let me try this one more time. Stop share. Oh my God, I was afraid of this happening. It always happens, right? Let me share again. Oh, there, here. One, share sound. Okay, let's see. Let's try this again and see if I was a good troubleshooter in my classes.
Yeah, we hear it now. Oh, stop though. Dramatic pause.
Okay, that just showed, that was a really good video to demonstrate to your students how important having cybersecurity training is. And it also is one way to, I feel it's one way to really educate students and get them really excited about it. But as I mentioned earlier, this is our toolkit, and I have the URL to the toolkit in the lower right-hand corner, as well as a QR code. It says scan me in the lower left-hand corner. I'll show you where that resides also on this. We are a Education Pathway National Center through the NSA. Oh yeah, definitely this video is shareable. So I'm looking at the questions as we speak. So we'll definitely have that available to you too. We have it in a resource site, and we'll show you all of this. But this
Yeah, the career counselors and advisors love that, to be able to show it when students come in, and just show that this is also one of those careers that for people to want to be in service. If they don't want to be a policeman or a fireman or whatever, or cybersecurity is the next best step, right? Or maybe a better step. So
we share that with our students as well, and on our website for our Center of Academic Excellence, it's right one of the first things on the website. So it's been a real powerful thing, and CompTIA will definitely let you share it wherever you want it.
Yep.
It really is impactful. So we're going to talk to you about as our Cybersecurity Careers Toolkit, and this was a resource that was designed to empower our counselors, advisors, and educators with the tools needed to confidently guide students into the field of cybersecurity. We heard from some of the faculty and some of the counselors. I'm not quite sure what cybersecurity is or what it all entails. When we tell them about the NICE framework and we said there's 52 different job roles, they said, what? And some of them don't evolve, used to be highly technical, and they said, what? So we figured it was one way to educate counselors, advisors, other educators that are in non-technical roles that might be a nice complement to cyber, like criminal justice, automotive. And even parents can use this to understand what the field of work is. So what this toolkit does is bridge that gap between equipping the counselors with the knowledge and resources and with the ability to inspire that next generation of cybersecurity professionals. So on the right-hand side, you'll see what's included. We talk about the NICE framework, and we'll talk about what that is if you're not familiar with it, but it's a great way to have a common language that describes the cybersecurity roles. It defines the roles and skills and career paths and allows the counselors to really help align the student's aspiration with the real world opportunities. So, and there's a lot of different tools that are available that we discussed in this book that are have the foundation of this framework. Everything's almost predicated on that lexicon, that common lexicon that's built using that cybersecurity framework. We have the cybersecurity exploration resources, so we identify platforms like cyber.org and other tools that help provide career profiles and detail the various roles in cybersecurity. Again, it's anything from analysts to ethical hackers to governance and compliance. We talk about the various education training opportunities available. We showcase a cybersecurity roadmap, if you will. There's 481 different cybersecurity certificates. And when people see the grid, they're, holy smokes, there's a ton. And then like the global perspective. So looking at like the checkpoint threat map to offer the virtualization of the global cyber threat. So altogether, it's a great tool to provide to the counselors and advisors, as mentioned, and parents, because it's kind of, oh, and one thing too, it's constantly being updated to reflect the new insights and resources.
Yeah, I'd just like to add one thing to it, is that you're going to know about a lot of these resources and things that are in the toolkit. So we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. But what we did want to do is to give people one document that had links to all of those things. So that was the idea, is to sort of organize it for, so if you give it to a career counselor, you know, it's got all these things that were already there. We're just trying to organize it and put it in one place where it's easy for them to access and how they would access. And I think the thing that's unique about this toolkit and in the workshop that we do is that we have exercises where we actually have career counselors or teachers or whoever attends it actually have to use those tools. So you see how to use the NCyTE website and the heat map and stuff like that. So that's, I think, the really unique aspect of this.
Definitely. So this is the toolkit to help prepare the people that are guiding our students, our potential prospective students. And this is that career workbook that John was mentioning. It's a practical companion to the toolkit. So it's designed to provide those students with hands-on activities that help enhance their understanding of the various careers. So these aren't just engaging, they're super engaging. They're structured to help students explore those career options, because like most people don't realize the vast and diverse nature of the careers in cybersecurity. It helps students understand what those career options are, understand what their academic pathways are, and it also provides them with different activities like capture the flags to help build their essential skills. So the workbook has really 8 different activities, each focused on career development. One's just exploring the career cybersecurity careers, considering what the comparative analysis between cybersecurity and other career interests to help our students make informed decisions, exploring the different types of credentials, what's the difference between an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, or a master's degree, and what's needed for each of those job roles that might be of interest to the students. What are some types of scholarship opportunities? What are the certifications that needed to be successful? And also to even get your foot into the door. A lot of times it's the Security Plus as a baseline. And then those different pathways. So looking at dual credit, dual enrollment, and the advanced placement programs that help bridge the high school and college education gap. And the most important, I think, especially with younger students, are the extracurricular activities. So what are some of the competitions, and what are some programs that help build and provide students with real world cybersecurity experience? Those are really important. So these are really important for counselors to have. So and to understand what they are. So if a student expresses an interest in one of them, they could say, hey, you know, this is something that I'm excited about, or I feel is important to know. And do I really like it? I feel like sometimes students say that about computer science and game development, and when they actually into it, they're like, oh, I don't think this is for me. But these types of activities help them understand what the skills are needed for each of the job roles. And there's a number of different activities that we'll showcase. This is a quick reference sheet that's available on our website. I'll show our website in just a minute. And again, you'll see the URL, but it's one way that you can have one printed up on your desk, or if a student says, I'm really excited about cybersecurity, you can give them their QR codes along with the URLs of each of these resources that they can kind of explore together. All right, so.
And I think we can put this up on the NCyTE website as well. So it's just an easy thing for anyone from the community to get to.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll just throw in the link as well in case you're if that's easier for you. And it will definitely. We just posted it, so we'll definitely put it on the NCyTE website as well. So what we're going to do is just take you through like a very abbreviated workshop. It's going to be very like this maybe like 30 minutes of what we would put into 4 hours. So if you have questions, let us know. But we really want to let and inform our counselors, advisors, and parents and other faculty know that cybersecurity is more than just IT. It's about protecting systems and data that help power our lives. So it's everything from critical infrastructure, hospitals, just lately ensuring good water, like your flight. So it impacts every sector, and it's really complex, and it always evolves. So it's sometimes hard to define for people outside the field. But what it's crucial for counselors and advisors and educators to know that what it is, because many students rely on their trusted mentors or their counselors or their educators to understand what cybersecurity is at the base, so that they can understand what career paths are available. And when they understand the diverse role, oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, it's right above Mohammed. I just sent it. I'll send it again. But when people understand the diverse roles, anything again from ethical hackers to policymakers, that helps students understand their different opportunities that align with their interests and skills. So being able to define cybersecurity in relatable terms breaks down those barriers. It broadens access to our students. They can get minors or secondary majors in cybersecurity alongside a different interest. And it helps students see how their skills are, whether they're creative or technical, and contribute to building a resilient cybersecurity workforce. And we all know this, and the numbers constantly change. So the one thing that we'll talk about is CyberSeek, if you're unfamiliar with it, but there is a deficit of skilled workers in cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is projected to grow by 20% next year and 33% from 2023 to 2033. So it's not going to contract at all. We have to build a pipeline of informed workers in order to address that need. But you'll see some of these different facts, and it just emphasizes the importance of having a skilled workforce. And how do we do that? How do we build one? Well, we have to promote the field to our students and let them know that it's just more than, I hate to say it, there's no hoodie required. They think of hackers when they think of cybersecurity outside in a white van, but there's a lot more than that. There's a ton. So trying to dispel that stereotype of a cyber worker too is necessary.
Yeah, when we do the workshops, a lot of times I'll just point out in our personal experience, like some of the various jobs that our graduates have taken. So just to give you an idea, I mean, we have a graduate of our program that all they do is work with the executives of a local bank to protect their mobile devices. That's one job at a bank and what they do. We have another person that works for a federal agency, just helping the agency figure out how to do budgeting for the cybersecurity related cost. So they're not a technical person doing pen testing and things like that, but they have a cybersecurity background and they have, sort of accounting and number, and that's what he does. And then we have other people that work with purchasing or program and developing staffs and so on. So it's not just pen testing, it's not just forensics. There's a lot of people that are in the policy side, risk management side, and so on. And most students, and definitely career counselors, don't understand that there are, lots of different career pathways and really good jobs out there, and not all of them are super technical.
That's a great point. So it's only the need for cyber workforce and informed cyber workforce is just ever increasing. So in order to combat that, again, to educate our counselors, advisors, so that they know how to then inform our students. But one thing that we do always start off with, which is this NICE cybersecurity workforce framework. And this framework offers a common language to help describe those cybersecurity work roles, those skills needed, and the cyber or the career paths that help align to students' skills, abilities, and knowledge, and their aspirations. So the one thing to keep in mind is that this just was updated, and so we'll look at some of these areas. but this framework is vital for understanding and guiding students in cybersecurity because it really does a nice job breaking down complex roles into clear categories and then defines what the skills and competencies are needed across the different areas. And with being equipped with that, counselors and advisors can help create a roadmap to help students discover roles that meet and match their strengths and interests. Again, whether it be technical or non-technical and creative. And that gives our students some confidence into understanding what this high demand field looks like and how their skills can make a real impact. One
of the things we hear back from career counselors constantly is, man, I wish we had this for all career fields. That this is, I mean, we really are fortunate in the cybersecurity field to have such a well-defined framework that helps others understand what our workforce looks like and what the skills are. Other workforce areas don't have this. So we are very fortunate. And that's one of the things we hear constantly from career counselors is, man, I wish I had this for other areas, you know?
Oh, definitely. And the one thing to note also is that this framework, everything is built on it. So the other tools that we're going to showcase, you'll see all of the different categories that are listed here, the oversight and governance, the design and develop. So the next tool that we're going to look at and that we have to our participants have hands-on tools is the heat map. And this is one way to understand the demand for cybersecurity talent, not only across the country, but in your own state. And the beautiful thing is that it provides real-time data on the different job openings, career pathways, and it breaks down the required skills needed. And that you can go by state and also metropolitan areas. And this is a great tool for because it offers valuable insights to help guide students to show them that there is a need and what are the necessary skills, degrees, certifications necessary to fill those jobs. And one way is just to say, okay, here's a place that opportunities are most abundant at this time. It also, again, illustrates key job roles and certifications. So I'm just going to bring this over. I have it here just to show you. So it's one way to showcase what jobs are needed. There's an interactive map, and there's also a cyber pathway. You guys can see it, everyone, right? Thumbs up, hopefully. Okay.
Yeah, yes, you see it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So you can click on or hover over any of the states. It will tell you the current job openings. I'll just say, you know what, for Washington, it will tell you the supply demand ratio, the number of openings, the number of total employed cybersecurity workforce in that state. And what I always like to showcase is that, look, wow, that's why we want to know what the NICE framework is, because thanks, Mike, they do break that job openings down by the categories in the NICE framework. So again, everything is going to be based off that framework because it is a common language or common lexicon for all those jobs. So it again shows the students like these are areas you want to know about. And the cool thing too is if you educate the student about the framework, and you can also offer up the advice to say, hey, if you have these skills, you've developed these skills in your classes and your capture the flag, start using these terms in your resume. So when you're ready to get a job, it shows that you understand what that framework is, you understand the skills needed, and you can align your search with the skills that you have. And on the right-hand side, it shows certification holders and the openings requesting certification. So in the region, you can see how many people hold each of these certificates. Let me increase that to make it a little easier to read. And you can also say, what are the certificates I should look at getting as a student? So what's important? You know, your student's not going to start with the CISSP because, I mean, they can technically take it, but they need the 5 years experience. But it gives them an idea of what each of these elements or the certificates are, whether it's advanced, beginning, or starter, or advanced, or I don't think these are all other advanced too. So the starter is kind of the security plus. But it will tell you all different types of things, and you can click on even further along using these different filters. One other thing that I do want to go over are the career pathways too. Get this back up so we can go there. And what this does is offer a clear view of how to get started and how to advance through your career in cybersecurity. So this is an interactive resource that highlights the key cybersecurity roles and the common transitions between them. So if I start off as a networker, it shows me how many job openings there are. I can click on that, and I can say I could do entry level, I could do cybercrime, I can click on one of these. And then from there, from a networker feeder role, I can go to a cybersecurity specialist. And then from a mid-level view, I can go to any of these. And then it tells you your different paths. And it's really interesting. As you click through it, at the bottom, you can see the different requirements. So what's the average salary? What are some of the job titles? What's the requested education? You can see 3% are sub-BA. A majority of them have graduate degrees. Again, we're at the advanced. So let's just look at cybersecurity specialists to show your students what kind of skills they need and what kind of certifications are required and what the job growth is. But they give you an abundance of information so that your students can make an informed decision of how their career path is going to be. That's the really good thing about this. Another thing that this tool offers is the flexibility, because it spans over multiple career levels, showing that students can grow and pivot. There's tons of on-ramps and off-ramps in cybersecurity. So it's one way for students to explore their career options and map out their future in the cybersecurity. So these are great.
I'd like to add just a couple things while we're on this. Just two things I'd like to add. One is, most of you have to participate in your program reaccreditation process. And some of you probably subscribe to the data that's used to build this. So NIST works with Lightcast to actually build this from, national bulletin boards that are posting these jobs. That's how they're coming up with this data, right? So they're looking at the post and then the people that are placed within those organizations. So if you subscribe to Lightcast, which most institutions do when they need data for their reaccreditation programs, this is a great tool. We have such an advantage over other. It makes reaccreditation data so much easier now. And then the only other thing I'd like to say with this is that our workbook, you could use it with your students to teach them how to use this tool. So too often we just look at this tool and we're like, it's a great tool or whatever, but we don't dig into what its capabilities are. That's what the workbook is all about. So you could have a lesson just having your students using this tool to do exploration in your area on the jobs and things that are available.
Well, good point. And then this is one of the workbook activities, is just to explore the cybersecurity careers. So it guides students to the different websites. It asks them to look at the NIST framework so they understand. And then it guides them through various tools that will help them build an understanding of what might be of interest to them. One other thing about this site too is that they have the top certifications, and there they tell you the top job titles affiliated with those certifications, whether it's entry level, mid-level, or advanced. And then from there, you can even look at your top skills. So if you're a cryptographer, or you can see where your job titles might be. And one last thing is the education and training providers. So if students express an interest, you can tell them, here are some of the education tools or institutions that you can use to go get those skills. And some of those resources are free. So, I'm a big advocate of try before you buy, because your students, it's an investment in time and money, and to make sure that they feel comfortable with what they've selected. This is another
out there. Use Lightcast as part of your data for your reaccreditation. So I got to tell you, we just went through ours 2 years ago, and I was absolutely blown away that it points out different job rates in the report we got back to the school. Actually told us what % of people in that job area in our area were our graduates. I had no idea they could actually extract that data. That was really great information. In doing your reaccreditation, because I could put really good data out there and great facts of what impact we were having with our program on the local workforce.
Absolutely.
Someone asked about what tool. The tool I'm talking about, Lightcast actually provides the data for this website. So they're contracted with NIST to actually give the data that's used to build this website. Well, most colleges use Lightcast as a workforce data source for data in your reaccreditation process. And that's one that we subscribe to it. The center subscribes to it. So if you need data like that, it's a really good source for getting workforce data about your program. Yeah, thanks for putting it up there.
Yeah, no problem. It's amazing how much they have and collect and what makes it accessible to you.
Yeah, they used to be called Burning Glass, and they changed their name, I think, 2 years ago. So,
yeah. Oh, this next tool is the Cybersecurity Pathway tool. It's another interactive resource that helps students and any user explore and navigate all the different areas in cybersecurity. And this one's a little different. They map out the workforce in 5 different communities. You'll see them listed on the screen: IT, cybersecurity, cyber effects, intel, and intelligence. But that's one way to show that, you know, it's almost like a Venn diagram. You're going to need some of all of it. It's not even, you can't escape it. But what it does is help guide students through a potential cybersecurity career path, helps them, again, understand the skills, knowledge, and certifications needed for their various roles. It prepares them for the transitions between different pathways, and it shows them the different growth opportunities and allows them to make that actionable resource and plan their education and training. As John mentioned earlier, to help students realize that this is a field that's very diverse. Here are the needs that you might be, or the different job roles that you're interested in. And for those job roles, here are the different things that you need in terms of education, certification, and skills. So it helps students really map out their journey through their cybersecurity education. And I just want to go through this, there's a lot of stuff that I want to go through, and I want to leave time for questions as well. But again, we will do this for you online. We'll come to your institution if you need. We have accountants and advisors. But the one thing I do, if you're unfamiliar with the Centers of Academic Excellence, it's a designation awarded by the National Science or Security Agency and Department of Homeland Security to different academic institutions that meet their rigorous standards in cybersecurity education and research. And there's various types. You'll sometimes see CAE, CD, which is like a broad cybersecurity education. There's the CO, which is highly technical and has hands-on cyber operations. And then there's the research, and those are recognized institutions. But the thing that the CAE offers, what? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your audio is breaking up a little bit. Maybe you should kill your video, and that might help your audio. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
Is that better? Oh, good. So some of the key features of the CAE schools is that they do offer really high quality, high hands-on educational experiences, and students really develop their technical skills and critical thinking because they're aligned with the latest industry standards and government needs, which keeps our curriculum really at the forefront of the field. So just a couple of things. If you visit the site, they have a CAE map of all the institutions across the country that are CAE designated. They also have a new feature called the Cybersecurity Career Explorer, which scrubs data from USA Gov and the API and shows them what jobs are available at each state close by to one of the CAEs. And they also have an atlas. Oh, thanks, Mike. They also have an atlas of all the different CAE cyber competitions. So whether you're in high school, middle school, college, you're able to filter these competitions depending on where you reside, and making it easier and more accessible to our students. So let me see if I can.
I put the link in the chat for that.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, we know most of the people on this line are probably familiar with the CAE community and the website and so on. But I'm going to tell you, your career counselors are probably not, and I'll bet your students aren't either. So that's why we try to put. I mean, a lot of these aren't new things, but we put one place that we can give out easily that has all of these resources, and then making your career counselors and your students aware of this because they don't know about this. And if you don't actually put this in your curriculum or have some type of activities or whatever, they don't really know that these things exist. We do, but they don't.
And this is just to showcase you can explore live federal job postings on their website. And if you're showing them the Cyber Atlas, it's a new site that shows them the various competitions. So they explain what the competitions are and have a link to them. So this is one way to get students involved in all the cyber. And so I have that website there. And as John said, I saw a lot of familiar names. So, you know, I think I was at the virtual meeting on just a few days ago, which they discovered this. One thing also, I don't know if you've seen this before, but it's the cybersecurity roadmap. And as certifications are critical in cybersecurity, because they do serve as a validation of the skills and knowledge and expertise that your students say that they have, they also demonstrate competition, enhance their career opportunities, and there's a lot of different benefits to having cybersecurity certifications. But if students aren't guided correctly, they might not get certificates that are of value to them. So they have all sorts of different certifications based on the skills and the job that you're going to be performing. They're also showcased at the beginner level, the intermediate level, and the expert level. And the beauty of this website, I'm going to bring this up, is that it gives you a description of what each one is, the cost, and a link to it. So, you know, you'll see the students do the CompTIA Security Plus at the beginner, and that's under security and risk management. But again, they have communication network security, they have identity and access management. So based on what your student wants to do, they're going to be taking different exams. So if your student's not interested in Juniper networks, if they want to do software security, you don't want them to go here and go through the expense and the time studying for that exam when they could be better served in an area that's of relevance to them. But this is a great map. And can you see that there's 481 certifications listed since July 2024?
You know, one of the things that I like to do with this, to be honest, is that this is overwhelming, isn't it? You put this in front of a student, they're gonna be like, what the heck is this? 400, and how do I ever decide what certifications I want, and so on. But what this does, it shows us two things. It shows us, first of all, this is what I tell my students, is look at the opportunity here. Every one of these certifications, there's a community out there that wants it, right? Why do they want it? Well, a lot of it deals with liability, right? That they have someone that can prove their competency in a certain area. So if that organization, you know, faces some type of cyber breach or something like that, they can prove that they went out and hired someone that was competent in that area. So if you look at this chart, from bottom up, it's entry-level certifications to advanced certifications. So starting at the bottom are the lowest and most entry-level certifications, and as you work your way up are the most advanced certifications. And as you work across, those are the different areas of specialization that different industries have decided that they need credentials to cover themselves, you know, in managing their risk, and also because it's become so specialized in trying to protect different aspects of our environments. But just think of a student pulling this up and how overwhelming this is, or a career counselor looking at this and it's like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. The thing they need to understand, though, is that this represents the opportunity and the pathways they can go into. Leaving our program, they might only have 3, 4 of these certifications. But one thing in cybersecurity is you're always going to be learning. It's a lifelong learning journey if you get into this field. But this just shows why people in this field make the kind of money that they make, and why the field's growing at the rate that it's growing, because it's become so specialized, and that there are all of these different opportunities out there to increase your credentials, which, by the way, usually result in better earning potential. But, you know, I think it's important as faculty, and then as a center, is that we try to bring, you know, some understanding of this, because otherwise it's just overwhelming.
Absolutely. And one thing I did for students just getting into cyber, if you have students, if you're not in it yourself and you have colleagues that are interested in it, I threw in the chat a free certification, and it's I think it's certified in cybersecurity. You'll see it right over here, and that's the ICS or ISC squared, and it's free. It's something they can try out, you know, and get their feet wet in cybersecurity certification exams, you know, so they know what to expect later. But this is like John said, it could be overwhelming, and being able to be more informed on what certifications are necessary for what jobs and how they're aligned can really help for students.
Yeah, the thing I found interesting, we did a postgraduate survey of our students a couple years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. And we had the list of the current certifications at that time. At that time, it was only like 413, 15, something like that. But we asked, our entire graduate audience, how many and what certifications did they have? And believe it or not, these were graduates of a community college. And at that point, we had represented over 150 different certifications that our graduates had at some point earned after leaving our program, getting a job somewhere, and then someone else investing in them to get, advanced credentials. So, we're the first step in that rung. But a lot of our students are going to end up climbing these ladders, with the different levels of certifications.
Definitely. Just a couple of things. I know I'm going to go through these a little quickly, but there's cybersecurity scholarships available. A great program is the Cyber Core Scholarship for Service. It promotes service to the public sector, especially, and students will get their tuition paid for along with books in their second 2 years or their graduate program. They also get paid while being a student. The one thing that they have to do at the end of that is serve a public sector and reciprocate the amount of time that they got funded for public sector work. But we've had fabulous students. They're all over the place. We have one at the Pentagon, one at Department of DHS, DISA. But it's been a program that's helped them get into the government, serve the country, and have a sense of pride. But it also promotes a really close-knit network of friends and colleagues. There's also the last mile through Microsoft. If you're unfamiliar with it, if students are having an issue of paying tuition, getting books towards the end of their academic career, they can apply for funding, no questions asked. So it's a great, I think it's up to $500.
And there are others. NSA has some, there are other ones as well.
Oh, absolutely. And we go through them. These are just a few of them, and we have the whole workbook. There's also extracurricular activities like our US Patriot, Gen Cyber, National Cyber League. Try Cyber is a really cool tool because it helps the students learn fundamentals in cybersecurity, but it also provides students and aligns the challenges to some of the nice framework cybersecurity roles. So they can say, this is for me or it's not for me. I'm just going to go through this really quick. We have some additional skills that we promote, definitely skills for all, Cisco. Yeah, we have the different Microsoft Learn environment, and cybersecurity. CSSIA has internships for high schools and also for graduate, everything in between. And then John's and Mike Hasani's great eMates are excellent resources. They have a career exploration that guides you through a SOC, and you get to talk to some of the avatars about the different job roles. They talk about their motivating factors to get into the job role, the different requirements. It's an excellent tool to use. And then these are some of the, I put this on our website, some of the things that are comments that testimonials that we got from some of the counselors and educators about, and academic advisors about how helpful this was, because it made understanding the cybersecurity workforce roles a little bit easier, and they enjoyed learning more about it because then in turn they could help their students. There's another one. Before we go, let me just entertain any questions. And then also really quick, I just want to show you the workbook from our website. If I can pull it up. All right, so I'm just going to stop here. I can show what actually. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, we don't see your website yet. Oh, okay, there we go. It's coming up.
Okay, so we're at the CIE EPNC. If you go to projects, there we go, under Counselor Advisor Toolkit. I also have those links, and I'll add those to our PowerPoint. Everything's linked in our PowerPoint. But you'll see the resource book here. That's the toolkit that has all of the materials. It has 8 different chapters. We have the career workbook. These are the hands-on activities, and we've supplied them in both a Word and so you can edit it and just provide them to your students, as well as a PDF. And we have a resource sheet. We have some testimonials here, and I'll add a little link that will allow you to make a request if you would like to have something done for your counselors and advisors. We would love the opportunity to talk to them and share with them some of the resources that we haven't had a chance to get too in depth with you today. But I'm going to stop this here. Let me see.
So you also provide the workshops like you'll go out to that location. I know you did that in New Mexico for us, and you also went up to Four Corners with San Juan Community College and Region 1 up there, where they support the high schools, and also the Navajo reservation schools in the New Mexico area and the Four Corners area as well. So I think it's a valuable tool to help develop a pathway from the high schools and even from the middle schools to high schools to the community colleges and on to the universities. So what you're doing is fantastic.
Thanks, Stephen, and I have to credit John and everyone. I mean, John's been fantastic. So, but it's been received well. People have it's an eye opener to see the vast and diverse nature of cybersecurity, because I don't think people realize it's the different job roles, and I think everyone's responding well. We did a small survey of 60 of our participants, and there was a very nice response, a very positive response in terms of confidence building and informing.
So the takeaway I hope you get is that you could use these resources in your class with your students. You could just use them to present to your counselors, or if you'd like to reach out to NCyTE and have us help you and do a workshop with your career counselors and advisors, we'd be more than happy to do that also. So those are really the 3 options of how to use these resources and services. You know, I mean, we're competing with everyone. I try to, I continuously repeat that. We're trying to get the best of the best students and the most diverse workforce we can in this area. And one of the ways we do that is to make sure that the touch point that our students go to, especially when they're in high school, when they're trying to decide a career pathway, that they have some understanding of our career pathway and whatever we can do to improve that,
Okay, well, thank you, John and Christine. This has been great. I think very informative. Thanks everyone for attending. And our time's up. We kind of went over a little bit, but that's fine. So have a great weekend, and look forward for next month's Sticker Heist presentation. We're actually going to be using that in our Gen Cyber with the Mescalero High School. So that's a good tool that you're going to be learning about too. So coming out of the same center with John and Christine. So I think that's part of you talk about that in your program as well, I think.
What time of the day was that next presentation?
It'll be the same time next. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
You can go on the NCyTE website and you'll see it. Okay, we'll let you go. Thanks everyone.
Great presentation, by the way.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.